Welcome to AnglingBuzz TV presented by Fleet Farm. I'm Troy Linder. Well, it's the end of June and most fish have done spawning and they're moving into their summertime areas. On today's show, we're going to primarily focus on summertime panfish moves. Now, most anglers tend to focus on panfish, crappie, and bluegill. They're focusing on them during the springtime and the winter. Through the ice, they're in the deeper water basins, and during the spring, they're in the warmer water, shallow bays. Now, in the summertime right now, this is actually a great time to target them. They're in specific areas and they can be easy to find. Now, across the upper Midwest, the weed lines are thoroughly established and pretty much every fish in the lake is relating to these deep weed edges. Now we look at walleye, for instance. They've been done spawning for a long time. They're getting away from the shoreline and they're moving to offshore, deeper structure. But on today's show, we're focusing on panfish, and we brought in our special guest today, Brian Brosdahl. He's a Minnesota fishing guide, a multi-species specialist, and especially when you're talking about panfish, if you see his social media, big perch, big crappie, big bluegill, big walleye, just a great all-around fisherman. Brian, thank you for taking some time today to share some insights into panfish.
Well, thanks for having me. You know, in the summertime, the fish are always, all types of fish are on the deep weed line. Some bodies of water grow weeds deeper than others. Clear lakes can grow weeds down to 28 feet, ultra clear lakes. Dark waters will grow weeds 6 to 8 feet. The key is to remember to find the deepest weed line, and you'll find every species of fish that swims in that lake. Whether it's panfish, walleyes, or bass, they cruise these edges. This is a time when bugs are hatching out of the mud and the fish are greeting them at the weed edge. Steep breaks, inside turns are key areas, and that's where you're going to find fish. And that's where they're finding food as the insect life willows out of the mud.
Okay, so if you had to pick some real key tactics for weed fishing panfish, bass, and walleye, what would they be?
That's a great question, Troy. I really love using plastics in the weeds. Plastics, you could rip through the weeds, you can get aggressive, you can just cast them really fast, not worry about bait flying off, throw them down, hop them. The real key is to let them sink down and high hop them. You're high stepping over weeds and dropping into holes, and the fish just pound them. Love smelt minnows, I like paddle tails, anything impulse works really well. On a long shank fireball, you're gonna zing them because the hook gets back there farther. And as we get closer to fall, or even in really deep weed lines, I like using the rumble minnow, works really great. Just kind of crank and long cast it and rip it and crank it at the same time. These start-stop kind of actions create heavy strikes from walleyes, bass, and pike. Just a great time as we go from summer to fall. The Rumble series has a crankbait that works always in deep weed lines or off the edge.
Now, what are some of your favorite panfish presentations to fish along these deep weed edges?
Oh, that's easy. I love using thumper heads and thumpers with an impulse body on there. Any kind of paddle tail, anything impulse makes works on a thumper. Even just using a small fat head or crappie minnow on a thumper head. Pitch them in, and as you're reeling, that little spinner blade really activates the panfish. Big crappies, bluegills, and perch love them. They look like a fleeing crayfish to the perch. So get some thumper heads, pitch them into the weeds, and just kind of bounce them off the weeds. They got a nice little barb that keeps your bait on. Chunk of crawler works also. It's pretty cool stuff.
Now, how about some largemouth tactics for this time of year?
Oh, I tell you, largemouth bass are super active, and it's a simple presentation. Just use an 1/8 ounce long shank fireball with a jig worm. So an impulse jig worm works great on that. Drop it in the weed pockets and pull it back. The bass just destroy it. And you're gonna catch big panfish doing this. That same hook is perfect size for all fish, and it doesn't gather as many weeds. That's the cool thing about it. But before I do that, I'll use my Humminbird with SI, and I'll use the SI so I can side image the spot. And I'm looking for big panfish. And they show up like circles. It looks like someone shot a shotgun at my screen. There's buckshot on the screen because all the shadows are round circles. And the bass look like little footballs. And they're hunting the bluegills. So the bluegills cruise back and forth on the weed beds and the bass are following them. So you got to get there, use your hummingbird, look around for a while with your side imaging, find the fish, and if they're hunkered down, buried in the weeds, down imaging is great because you can see the weed strand, and if it looks like there's a big ball at the top of the weeds, it's probably a fish.
Wow, thanks Brian for sharing a lot of your insight into panfish, which I hope helps a lot of the viewers catch more fish this season. Well, stay with us. We have a short commercial break. When we come back, more Angling Buzz.
Lake Vermilion. Explore. Relax. Reconnect.
Minnesota's most beautiful lake.
Get hooked on our trophy walleye,
That's a beauty.
bass,
My favorite fish.
musky fish,
That's a beauty there.
Things to do? You'll never get bored.
Rooms with a view? We got 'em.
Lake Vermilion. 4 seasons of fun.
Like many of you, I've had back issues. From the pounding waves of Lake Erie
To over 30 years of competitive angling.
and a lifetime on the water, but not anymore.
Smooth Moves changed the game.
It's a must-have for me and my clients.
It's like my boat is floating on air.
They're easy to install.
Fully adjustable.
It makes a day on the water a whole lot more comfortable.
Smooth your ride with Smooth Moves.
You don't know their names yet, but you will.
Customer first. That's their mission at Dondelinger Auto. It's not just about the sale. It's about giving you peace of mind for as long as you own that vehicle. Dondelinger is home to the lifetime powertrain warranty for new and pre-owned vehicles, plus 10 years of roadside assistance. They have an incredible variety of the most popular vehicles and offer pickup and drop-off for service. Stop in to experience the Dondelinger difference today.
Well, welcome back to Angling Buzz. Today's show, it's all about panfish. And up next is our Timely Topics feature. We're joining Dan Linner and Jeremy Smith out on the water for some summertime crappie strategies.
This time of year, electronics are absolutely vital for finding fish. And now most of the time you'll find crappies, bluegills, etc. They're related to the weed line for the most part. But what we found here is it's not only weed lines, it can be bottom composition. So these fish are feeding on bugs almost exclusively. So we've got a big mud basin out here and it goes from mud to sand. And on that transition, there are just panfish all over the place. So it's not a typical spot you'd probably be looking for. Most people would focus on the weed line, but look at those transition changes as well because they can be hot spots for finding big concentrations of fish. Now look at that. That's a huge pile of fish. That's pretty close to that waypoint. Look at it. See this? As soon as we get to the edge here, boom, absolutely loaded with fish. And see what they're relating to? I'm just gonna pause it here. This is the kind of stuff that you're looking for. This right here. Do you see how it's kind of this bright white signature here? And then it gets to a little bit of a darker color here. Basically that is that line, and that's what the fish are relating to. See there, these little specks right through here, right here, right here, right there, those are all crappies. Now, there's even one that's shown up there, but they're very, very close to the edge of that. So it's much like fishing a weed line. When you're fishing these bottom changes, you're just kind of holding back and you're fishing the edge of that. So there's not cover there. It's not the traditional thinking of panfish that they're in weeds and they're right off the edge of the weeds. It's bottom composition changes. Now that's not to say that crappies and bluegills don't use weed lines a ton in the summer, but this is an area that most people very seldom look at, and it produces tons of fish. And these areas will produce starting in pretty much July, and this will go all the way into the winter time.
These fish, they're just roaming around out here on this thing. They're like, oop, there's fish on the electronics right there, like this. Bloop.
Ooh, got him. Oh, he cracked it way out there, dang it.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go.
How do you like that? It's a good thing we know how to count.
Yeah, exactly.
Another tank?
No, just
still, whatever. This is
neater.
As fast as we can get it down, man.
Yep. Yeah, that was at about a 10 count, but those fish are generally coming up. It seems like they're coming up for it.
For sure. There we go. And the other thing too is the boat is only, this is almost a 19-foot boat, but right now, well actually now they're starting to show up on the front here, but the difference between the front and the back of the boat can be a big deal if you are in a vertical bite like that. So you want to get your baits under the transducer. So I see them right up here right now. Let's see if I can get one of these fish. So I know they're 10 feet. This is a 7-foot rod, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to let out 7 feet rod length, and then I'll just give it another foot or so. We'll see if I can get one of these bad boys to go. So a lot of people think crappies are, pretty subtle fish where you just got to have something right in front of their face, real tantalizing. It can't be moving fast, but I've seen in a lot of cases where, bass fishing in particular, we're catching crappies on bass baits. They're willing to bite big baits, especially now in late summer like this. They're aggressive. These fish are eating and they're willing to hit big baits that are moving. You're not fishing really fast, but you can fish way more aggressive. You don't need to come out here with a slip bobber and a minnow and wait for the bait to get to the bottom. You can just cast and wind with different presentations. A slab wrap in this case, a rip and wrap is another great tool. Of course, a jig with like an underspin or any type of soft plastic will do the job as well.
Well, crappie fishing like that can be a lot of fun, and they definitely taste good on the dinner plate. Well, stay with us after the short commercial break. We got our angling buzz bite reports. Stay with us.
Northland tackles in the premium hardbait game with the Rumble Crankbait Series. Available in 15 custom artisan colors. All Northland Rumble Series baits are handmade with a unique heat compression molding process that ensures unmatched durability and baits that run true on the troll and cast farther than the competition. You'll discover that walleyes and other species find their unique role in actions simply irresistible. You're going to want to up your game with these new cranks. Fishing is definitely better with balsa.
Looking for the perfect fishing vacation? Leech Lake, Minnesota. There's over 112,000 acres of water to explore with fantastic walleye, bass, pike, panfish, and trophy muskies. The fishing opportunities are endless. Leech Lake has it all with over 30 resorts, lodges, campgrounds, and hotels line its pristine shores. Plan your trip. It's Minnesota's original up-north vacation destination.
In 2020, Minnesota watercraft inspectors found that 97% of boaters were doing their best to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive species. In short, drain plugs were removed, no standing water was inside the boat, and no zebra mussels or plants were found on the boat or trailer. Thanks for following these simple habit-forming rules. Clean aquatic plants and animals from boats, trailers, and equipment. Drain all water from motors and live wells. Remove all boat plugs and dispose of unused bait in the trash. Simple, fast, and easy. This automatic launching and loading system on boat-to-trailer.com makes unloading and loading your boat a breeze on both roller or bunk trailer configurations. This system is a simple one-bolt install. No more hanging over the boat, no more cranking in the boat, and no more wet feet. Speed your boat ramp time by visiting boat-to-trailer.com.
Hey, what's going on, party people that do the fishing thing like Captain Jared Houston? With a fresh report from Duluth Superior. We're doing some trolling of crankbaits with a combination of worm harnesses, worms off the back, off the sides some crankbaits with snap weights, and we're going kind of slow, about 1.3. We're picking up a few walleyes here and there on the deep channel edges, inland lakes. Awesome bass fishing going on in the inland lakes. We're catching a lot of smallies over rocks piles and deep wood structure. Just throwing out some chatterbaits and some soft plastics and stuff like that. Sunfish are kind of migrated out to the weed edges. Nothing but a float over a worm chunk. We'll catch a few fish there, and crappies as well. Use crappie minnows, catch crappies. That's the way we've been doing it. Northern pike, throwing some spinner baits, stuff like that. That's what we got going on in Lake Superior, St. Louis River, and the inland lakes of the Twin Ports. Hopefully everybody's having a good time out fishing. Rock and roll, tight line. See you later!
Thanks, Jared. Now let's join Jeff Evans with a multi-species report in northern Wisconsin.
Chequamegon Bay, the post-spawn bite is, definitely been a little bit tough here lately. Probably a lot of fish moving out towards deep water. Down around the Hayward area, the post-spawn smallmouth bite has been really good over the last week. Every day's a little bit different though, so you gotta try to mix and match what you're doing until you figure out what they want each day. Some days it's been a Ned rig on the bottom, other days it's been a top water, sometimes it's swimming a grub master over the shallow rocks at 5 to 6 feet. So you just gotta kind of play around with it until you figure out what they want. Walleye fishing has slowed up a bit. We had that really good bite going over the last month, and then we had a lot of bug hatches over the last week. So it's a little bit tougher now. You can still get them on slip bobbers and leeches or jigs and leeches, just a little bit slower bite. Maybe you want to focus on those low light periods like in the evening. The bite might be a little bit better than during the day.
Thanks, Jeff. Now let's jump over to Otter Tail County in Minnesota with Garrett Sphere, who's been crushing largemouth bass.
We're out here today doing a little bass fishing. So what we've been doing today is kind of the definition. Oh, Philly's got a good one. Let's see if Philly hold it up for us. Good job, buddies. So what we've been doing today is like the definition of junk fishing. Chatterbaits, Ned rigs, wacky rig, Yamamoto Sinkos. So we're just out here scouting for some upcoming guide trips and doing some junk fishing, just throwing everything but the kitchen sink at them. These bass are scattered out on these deep weed edges. We're trying to keep the boat at 12 to 15 feet of water, just slowly work our way along. And definitely the best, most productive baits for bass up here have been Yamamoto Sinkos. Just those and the Ned rigs, a jig worm. Those finesse baits are gonna, get most of your bites. I'm gonna get back to fishing, and we will see you guys out in Otter Tail Lakes countries.
Thanks, Garrett. Now let's head to Leech Lake with the Leisure Outdoor Boys.
Right now the water temps are in the low 70s, 73, 74. It's stabilized. It's come back down from that 80-degree mark. The fishing's fantastic. People are catching muskies, pike, bass, smallmouth. The smallmouth fishery is expanding. Walleye fishing is absolutely fantastic, as per usual here on Leech Lake. Just a great, diverse fishery. Tell you what we're doing for walleyes. We are lindy rigging with leeches and crawlers. We are bobber fishing with leeches. We are pulling spinners with night crawlers, and we're throwing plastics and artificials. Jig wraps, crankbaits, and good old paddle tails. Through the rocks, through the weeds, snapping them hard, creating a reactionary bite. Low temps play the wind. Where the wind's blowing, blows the bait up there, and that's where the fish are. The fish are not on super long break lines where you can just fish 100 yards straight of walleyes. They're kind of in tight schools, so finding those using your electronics, that's the key to catching fish here on Leech Lake.
Now let's jump up to Lake Vermilion with Billy Rosner.
Walleyes are continue to bite pretty well up here in Vermilion. I've been catching fish in these transition areas on jigging wraps and also on these VMC moontail jigs. This is a black one here, and I have really good luck with this. This could represent a leech, or might even look like a big gob of mayfly or something. So this has been a really good producer with me. And this, you fish it this like a jigging wrap, throw it out, get really aggressive, rip it, snap it, can't fish it wrong. It's also live bait rigs, 48-inch leader, weighted sinkers. I go heavy, 3/8 ounce. Make sure you're on the bottom. It seems like a half a crawler is actually better in the leech right now in the live bait setup. And also I like to put a bead above that number 4 VMC hook. That's all putting walleyes in the boat. But this think transitions, be versatile. Those windows early morning, evening, and if you get some cloudy overcast days, it's just a big plus up here in Vermilion. Have a great week, and most of all, have fun out there.
You can't choose the weather, but you can choose to dress for it. Introducing Blackfish Performance Rain Gear. Utilizing patented eVent technology, this advanced membrane allows body heat and vapors to escape while offering 100% waterproof protection with an exceptional combination of waterproof and breathability ratings. Blackfish Rain Gear keeps you dry all day. Whether on the tournament trail or chasing weekend walleyes, choose Blackfish because you can't choose the weather.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Tired of doing this? Get a can of this and spend more time doing this.
Whoa.
Marine Pro Fuel Treatment helps marine engines start easier, run smoother, and last longer. Seafoam! Marine Pro, new from the makers of Seafoam. Marine Pro is a complete marine fuel system treatment. Just pour it in. Fast starts and smooth running power have never been this easy. Available now at Fleet Farm.
And now it's time for our cool products brought to you by Fleet Farm. Today we're talking about panfish, and we're going to start out with the Impulse line from Northland Tackle. Here's one of their pre-rigged options. They have a few different designs, lots of different colors, and you can also get them in these stackable containers here like this Impulse Mayfly. This holds 20 baits on there, and if you have other containers, what you can do is they screw on top of each other so you have them all in one place, easy to access. And also from Northland Tackle, the Mimic Minnow Shad UV. These come in different sizes, different colors, little paddle tail design there. These are very easy to fish. Basically just cast them out and reel them back in. The Mimic Minnow Shad UV from Northland Tackle. And next, a couple soft plastics from Big Bite Baits. This is the Kamikaze Swimmin'. This is a 2.5-inch bait. Lots of great colors, lots of great action on this small soft plastic. And then also from Big Bite Baits, the Crappie Minnow. You can fish these under a bobber. You can cast them out in a small little jig head. Just great designs and great colors from Big Bite Baits. And next from VMC, this is a spinner bait, but maybe when you think about spinner baits, you think about big bass spinner baits. This is the boot tail spinner bait from VMC that's great for fishing around weeds for crappie, and the nice flash of the blade. The design of this actually is great for actually bigger crappie. They do like this bait a lot, and summertime fishing when the weeds are up, this is a great option. And from Rapala, the Slab Wrap. Now this is really good again for crappie fishing, just like the VMC boot tail spinner bait, except you can vertical jig this and you can cast and retrieve this, and you can see the size of this. This triggers bigger crappie to bite. This is a fantastic bait both early season and during the summer. The Rapala Slab Wrap. And it's important to stay cool and protected from the sun during this heat, and Blackfish has you covered with their Angler UPF Sun Hoodie. Nice four-way stretch to this fabric. It's very lightweight, so in the summer heat, you can even throw the hoodie on over your head to keep you protected from the sun. And it's also very lightweight, so you're not going to feel hot wearing this thing. Just a really great apparel line from Blackfish, and this one is the Angler UPF Sun Hoodie. And up next from Balls Out Mounts, this is their 6-inch mounting system for your marine electronics. You have a lot invested in your sonar and GPS units, and you want to protect them and make sure they're secure. In Balls Out Mounts, you can see this is heavy-duty mounting systems to protect them and mount them. A lot of different options available. This is the 6-inch version here. These are made in the USA. Just a great high-quality product from Balls Out Mounts. And next from Bubba Blade, the 6-inch Ultra Flex. This is designed for crappie and bluegill, a nice flex design to it, easy non-slip grip handle, the Bubba blade quality. These knives are exceptional, and this size is specifically designed for panfish. And lastly, from Daiwa, the Crossfire LT1000. This is a nice size reel for panfish. When you have lighter line, you can put monofilament fluorocarbon braid on here, and a great value too. And if you go in your local Fleet Farm store, you'll see a lot of different options available. And this size 1000, this Crossfire LT1000, is absolutely perfect for crappie and panfish. Well, be sure to shop online at fleetfarm.com and also visit your local Fleet Farm store. And right now it's time for our technique of the week.
Panfish rod technology has really changed over the last decade. I can think back in the day when I'd use a rod like this, where it was an ultralight with no backbone, only about 5 feet in length. A lot has changed. Precision pan fishing rods are here. You know, I use the right rod with the right power and action for every species I'm chasing. That is no different when I'm pan fishing. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. The Legend Elite Panfish series is the rod of choice for me. What I love about the Legend Elite Panfish is the rod length, but the power and action is so important. You know, this is a light powered, not an ultralight powered, and it's a fast action rod. When I'm fishing big bluegills, sunfish, crappies, I want to make sure whether I'm bobber fishing in the spring, casting plastics, crankbaits, even jigging wraps, that I'm getting the proper hook setting power out of that rod. Also getting the ultimate in casting. You know, long casts are really important when you're pan fishing, especially in the spring like this where the fish are spooky. I want to get it out away from the boat. This rod delivers. There we go, there's a nice bluegill. You know, we're catching crappies and bluegills in here. You know, it's important when you're pan fishing to practice selective harvest. Putting these bigger fish back and just keeping a few, not over harvesting, is really important. It's getting harder and harder to find these panfish lakes that are holding good numbers of decent fish. Wow, nice bluegill. Look at that thing. Look at the banding on this. Unbelievable. They're so pretty. You know, if you're passionate about catching panfish like I am, having that right rod makes a world of difference if you want to put more of these fish in the boat. Whether you like chasing big bluegills or crappies, having the right backbone is a key element. If you couple that with, again, the best materials on earth, you're going to start putting more fish in the boat.
Next week's show is titled Fishing Made Easy. It's going to be a great one. And as always, we want to help remind you to stop the spread of aquatic invasive species. Anytime you're leaving any body of water, remember, clean, drain, dry. And be sure to enter our sweepstakes online. You can win a fabulous weekend up on Lake Vermilion, a guided fishing trip with myself, a $500 gift card for Fleet Farm, and a $500 Rapala tackle pack. Well, thank you for joining us this week. I'm Troy Linder, and we'll see you next time.